It appears to be 9:04. If you would, set that down and let's get this meeting started. Let's begin this morning with our invocation. I'll ask Rodney White, the Catholic Diocese of San Angelo, to come forward and lead us in our invocation. Microphone is yours, sir.
Let's bow our heads. Almighty and ever-living God, we thank you and we praise you for your goodness to us, Lord, for your abundant blessings that you continue to pour out upon us and upon our families and friends. Lord, we ask that you be present here amongst us as we begin this meeting, that we may work for the betterment of our community and our city. And we ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. And now, to help us with the Pledge of Allegiance, we have the fifth grader from Cornerstone Christian School, Miss Lizzie Ireland. If you would come forward, please, ma'am. How are you? Are you ready to go? You get us started and we'll follow you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Good job.
Thank you so much. And we do have a proclamation this morning. I have to read all of this?
Yes, sir.
There's big words in this too, Lee Pfluger.
I know it's big words. I told you I kept it as short as I could.
Let's read this. Lee Pfluger will be accepting the proclamation. This is the 19th annual City of San Angelo Concho Christmas celebration with over 3 million lights, one of the largest Christmas lighting displays in the state. The display offers 2.5 miles walking or driving tour beginning behind the main post office on the corner of Abe and First and ending at Paseo de Santa Angela. And those involved consist of hundreds of volunteers, including offenders from the Department of Corrections, who assist with the installation of Christmas scenes and hang lights, the San Angelo Restaurant Association, who supply food to the inmates, RSVP, who deliver inmates food, and the community of Christmas tree lighting ceremony will be held Saturday, December the 7th of 2013 at 5:15 p.m. on the corner of South Chadbourn and West Concho Avenue. Activities will include the San Angelo Community Band, conducted by Dr. Constance Kelly of Angelo State University, the Harmony Bells Chorus, directed by Libby Kamick, and the Twin Mountains Tonesman, directed by Mark Clark. And the community tree lighting will be followed by the 12th annual Lights of Christmas Parade at 6 p.m., which may be viewed on 2nd Street between Oaks and Chadbourn, on Chadbourn between 2nd and Concho, on Concho between Chadbourn and Oaks, on Oaks back to 2nd, and the Tour of Lights can be seen Sunday through Thursday from 6 to 10 p.m., and each Friday and Saturday from 6 p.m. to midnight, December the 6th through December 31st, of 2013. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the City of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby declare Saturday, December the 7th of 2013 as Concho Christmas Celebration Day and encourage our citizens to join the activity and view the magnificent display that has become a treasured community event. Mr. Pfluger.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Make a speech now.
Well, I believe Dwayne has probably said it all right there. But on behalf of the Concho Christmas Celebration Committee, we'd like to invite everyone to come out multiple times. We have a great event for our city. It's got a dual purpose. First of all, obviously, it's to enhance the quality of life of all our citizens and of our visitors by enhancing the holiday spirit. And secondly, it's an economic driver for our community. It attracts hundreds of people that use our restaurants and our motels. So we appreciate the support of the city and of the community, and I can't say enough for the hundreds of volunteers. We have over 400 volunteers that participate in this event each year, and we invite you all to join us for the occasion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let's get a picture. Hold on. If that gets to Hollywood, Lee, we're both gone. And Carl White, are you in the building, sir? This is a recognition. Carl White put together the City of San Angelo Riverfest, and for doing it more and doing it better and exceeding our expectations, and the high standards inspire all of us. So I've got Carl up here. Carl, tell us something about it and accept our congratulations, buddy.
Well, I was hoping we could bring the rest of the committee up as well. If you were part of the committee, please come forward, because this wasn't just Carl's event. It was the committee's event, and I want to make sure you all get recognition for it. It was really an honor to be able to work with these folks, and we had a great time. We had numerous meetings, and we got to bond during all those meetings, and we had a great time hosting the event. So the thanks goes out to the community for supporting us in the event and for coming to the event.
Are you going to introduce him, Carl?
I don't always think too quickly up here. Pamela Miller from the Convention Visitors Bureau, Jenny Campbell as well from the Convention Visitors Bureau, Roger Havlock, Park Superintendent, Mike Hitchcock, Deputy Park Superintendent, Lori Davila with Civic Events, Ida Rios with Parks and Recreation Administration, Angelica Pena with the Civic Events Manager, Sanford Mouton with ASU and the YAS group, the volunteers, the youth volunteer group, and Joseph Ashmore with the Soundstage and Songwriters Association. It was a really great pleasure to work with everybody. So thank you. Picture, we're going to take a picture.
Back this way.
Back this way.
Where are you going?
Large group.
Right here. Yeah, large group. They squeeze
Did I hit the ground?
Shift left.
Jenny, you knocked me on the ground.
Push left.
You want to do a double?
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Canadian.
Carl.
I got it. Can't have one on the ground.
There's
can
a restaurant on the golf course. It's like and the water's running, can't be turned on.
Yeah, one of them was canceled.
Right.
Did you want me to go ahead and read that, or did you want me to just cancel it since they didn't make it? We had one more recognition, but they're not here, so we'll get it to them later. And this is the time in our council meeting that we take public comment. Let me read this and get the legalities out of the way, and then I will open up the floor to the citizens. Public comment. The council takes public comment on all items in the regular agenda. Public input on the regular agenda item will be taken at its appropriate discussion. Public input on an item not on the agenda or consent agenda may be identified and requested for consideration by the council at this time. The council may request an item to be placed on a future agenda or for a consent agenda item to be moved to the regular agenda for public comment. On public hearing items, public input will be received on each item immediately following the council discussion and prior to any action on the item. Each member of the public shall make the remarks from the podium begin by stating their name. Remarks by each citizen will be limited to 3 to 5 minutes unless waived by a council member for all speaking on that matter. No individual will be allowed to speak more than once on any one subject until every citizen wishing to comment has done so. And here's the time, if there's anyone in the public that wishes to approach the council, if you have a complaint or a grievance to air or anything you want to talk about that is not on the regular agenda, or if there's something on the consent that you would like to be moved to the regular, this is your opportunity to come forward, please. Everybody seems to be in a pretty good mood this morning, so we'll move on to the council. Are there any council comments that need to be made at this time, or are there any items on the consent agenda that the council would like to move to the regular?
I'd like to move item 7 to the regular.
Number 7. Charlotte? Anyone else?
I'd like to move number 5.
Number 5. Johnny?
Mayor, I don't even really need to have it pulled or moved, but number 2, it doesn't really, it's not clear whether it's a budgeted item or not. It's $2,093,864.54. I can't, it doesn't say where it's budgeted.
You want to pull it and have Mr. Kruger address it?
Sure.
Okay, well, let's pull
It's
number,
just that's my question.
we'll pull number 2 and have Kruger address it. And I was going to pull number 8, because I voted against this every year since it's been showing up because it's not a local. So I'm going to pull number 8, and we're going to discuss that one too. So that's number 2, number 7, number 5, and number 8. Everything else all right with council? There's very little left, but if someone wants to make a motion to accept them, we'll move on.
Motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 2, 5, 7, and 8 for
Oh.
public discussion.
Okay, I've got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I've got a motion by Charlotte, a second by Rodney. Any further discussion from the council? Further discussion from the public? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nay. All right, let's move on then to number 2. This is consideration of awarding competitive sealed proposal WU0213 for the 213 Rio Concho sewer line improvements to Darnell Construction, LLC of San Angelo, Texas, in the amount of $2,093,869.54, authorizing staff to negotiate a contract and authorizing the city manager to execute said contract and any related documents. Mr. Kruger, would you answer Johnny's questions, please, sir?
Be glad to. Good morning, council. Yes, this project is budgeted under the wastewater capital improvement program. So it's a project that we've had on the books, been working on for the past year or so. But
Okay. I just read where it said funded, but wasn't clear on the budget.
okay.
Satisfied, Johnny?
Yes.
You want to move to approve?
Sure.
You do? Anybody want to second his move?
Second.
Got a motion? Got a second? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay?
I would like to abstain. Is that okay?
Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for, 1 abstain. Okay? Let's move on then, number 5. Number 5 is the second hearing consideration of adopting an ordinance amending Chapter 10 Traffic Control regarding the operation of golf carts. Chief Vasquez. An ordinance of the City of San Angelo, Texas, amending Chapter 10 Traffic Control, San Angelo Code of Ordinances, to add a new Article 10-1700 entitled Operation of Golf Carts on Public Streets, in order to allow and regulate the operation of golf carts on any part of the traffic area of any public street or highway within the city limits where the posted speed limit is not more than 30 miles per hour, providing definitions, establishing limitations on such operation, establishing requirements for equipment, annual registration, establishing administrative process, establishing a registration fee, providing for a penalty for the violation of this ordinance, and amending Appendix A entitled Article 3000 Business-Related Fees to add a new Section 3.1300 Golf Cart Registration Fee, providing for severability and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. Who from the police department? Kevin, you going to talk on this, sir? What's your questions, Don?
That was
me.
Rodney, what are your concerns?
The main question that I have is that according to state law, if you live within 2 miles of a golf course, you can still do this without doing a registration. The information that I've been given is that is going to be excluded from here in San Angelo. We're not going to make anybody living near a golf course or within 2 miles get a registration on their golf cart and have to go through the inspections that these golf carts are going to have to go through. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's all. I wanted to get it on the record to make sure that we're good.
You want to move to approve?
I move that we approve this item.
Anybody want to second it? Got a motion to approve, Rodney. Marty Safe is seconded. Any further council discussion? Discussion from the public?
Made it easy on you.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Put a 6-0 on that one, please, ma'am. Number 7. This is the second hearing consideration of adopting an ordinance amending the 2013-214 budget. Morgan, an ordinance of the City of San Angelo amending the budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2013, ending September 30, 2014, for encumbrances, restricted and dedicated monies, incomplete projects, and grants. Whose is this?
Mine.
Don?
Yes, I noticed on this, we've got some hotel occupancy tax monies, and I just wanted to see what the status of our Coliseum roof was. I noticed it wasn't on here, and we discussed it during that time, so I just kind of wanted an update.
I can briefly answer that, and Angelica can as well. Come on up, Angelica. But in short, the staff has been working on that. We've gotten the engineering reports, those kind of things, and Angelica can give you the details.
Yes, we did have an engineer evaluate the structural integrity of the roof and found that it's very structurally sound, so we can move forward with the project. It's not included in this budget amendment because we don't have a cost associated with it yet. We do plan on bringing that early next year for your consideration.
Okay, why does it take so long?
The initial component was getting the engineer in place and getting that assessment done so we know what we're trying to bid. So that's just happened. Now she's working with Roger as far as the type of roof material.
Correct. And secondly, we were trying to figure out how are we going to do this? Are we going to bid it out? Are we going to do a request for proposal? Are we going to go with a consultant? And we have decided that it would be best to use a buy board option that we have, which is a Duralast company, and we do have local
Representative for that.
correct,
Right.
that can help us with that process.
Okay, good
So it did
deal.
take a little bit longer to get all of that background and all of the information that we need to move forward.
Our hope was to move forward with getting all that in place, and then after the rodeo's over, that's when we would want to try and get the install done.
Okay, and that was my concern, particularly, with the spring rains, and I know that it's been patched. Is that holding all right, everything
Yes,
all right?
it's actually doing very well. We had it patched by Harrison Roofing, and since we've had rain, we've had no leakage.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. I move for approval.
Thank you.
I've got a motion to approve. I have a second. Any further council discussion? Public discussion? If not, I call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Put a 6-0 on that one, please. And this last one I have called for, at number 8, is consideration of selecting image trend for RFP FD0213, authorizing staff to negotiate a fire department records management system contract between the City of San Angelo and Image Trend for software, annual maintenance, and hardware, and for additional hardware to be purchased from other vendors in a total combined amount not to exceed $210,000, and authorizing the city manager to execute said contract and any related documents. Brother Ferris.
Dwayne, I might clarify on this one. This is not our collection agency, which is the one you've typically been concerned about. This is just simply the software that we brought to y'all a while back that is crashed and it's obsolete, and they will not support it anymore. Our operating software. So this is to replace that operating software internally. It's not the collection agency.
Yes, sir. It's all of our data that we collect from either fires or EMS runs or our shift work, all of our hours that the guys put in, our scheduling. This collects all that data for us. It is obsolete at this time. This is our second tryout. The first time we put up RFPs for it, we had nobody that met the criteria that we needed to put together for all this. So we come back to you and we rejected all those RFPs in 2012. We since then have found a company that will combine it all and put it together for us, and that's what we're recommending.
And they are out of Florida? Is that what I read?
I do not want to lie to you. They might be, we put out 7 bids. There's not a whole lot of companies that'll do EMS, fire, and scheduling all together and combine those for you. So you have to go out and buy an EMS package, you have to go out and buy a fire package, and then you have to try to place them together. This company does all 3 of those for us and places them together. So
Minnesota,
thank you.
Vikings.
Is that close enough?
That's close enough.
I wish we had somebody local that would.
Well,
do it for us.
that's my question.
Yes,
This
sir.
is $210,000.
Yes, sir.
We've got the finest university in the world that backs
agree.
up the state of Texas on computer issues.
sir.
And I just wonder why we have to go to Minnesota when we have something done,
We put
when
it
we
out-
ought to be able to do it in San Angelo, Texas.
We put it out for bid, and anyone locally is more than welcome to bid on it. We would love to have that. But
And they
we-
did not.
But we get what we get
Sir,
as
they
far
did
as
not.
the bids.
Yes, sir.
I guess you've answered all of my questions, sir.
you.
I'll move to approve it as presented.
I have one.
Second.
Yes, sir. Don.
As working with this system for years, what is your projection as far as this thing standing up and handling the load that it has? And then along with that, I noticed that there was some monies in here basically for maintenance.
Yes, sir.
Did you ask questions about that, and what did you get back as far as answers?
Oh, definitely. They will contract with us to maintain the program for up to 5 years at the pricing level that they have quoted us.
Okay.
I believe it was 14,000 a year, just under 15,000 a year. We're paying 9,000 right now through Zoll, which does not maintain that system that we bought in 2000. Has been purchased by 4 different vendors that is supplying it to us now. So now Zoll owns it, and Zoll is not.
Maintain.
They're not going to maintain it because we're not purchasing extra software and servers from them. The last bid that we got in on the RFPs for 2012, they did put a bid in for it, but it was the price was way up there, and the maintenance was, I want to say, was $50,000 a year for maintenance on it.
How long do you think this system will be viable, and was it budgeted?
Yeah, I think we actually got 10 plus years down the road out of this system here. It actually has some parts to it that other fire departments are going to that we may move to in the future that we have access to. We're not there yet, but we have access to those parts for any future needs. So I'm hoping it's going to work out for us for at least up to 10 years.
Okay, good deal.
Any other questions from council?
I'll second your motion.
Charter beat you to it.
Oh, she got it?
Yes.
Okay.
We do have a second. We do have the motion. We do have a second. No further council comments. Is there anything from the public on this? If not, I'll ask for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Put a 6-0 on that one, please, ma'am. And that will take care of our consent agenda. Moving on now to item G, public hearing and comment. Number 9. We did have one request, and the council, I need to ask if we can do this. We've got a lot of people here to deal with number 14. This is on Neighborhood Blitz. Would it be all right with the council if we pull number 14 forward and dealt with it while the people are here? Anybody, Marty, you have a problem with it? Don?
No, sir.
Charlotte? Okay, let's go ahead and pull number 14. Ms. Marley, we'll get to you in just a minute, please, ma'am. Thank you. Number 14 is a public hearing consideration of approving an amendment to the 13 Annual Action Plan for use of CDBG funds for Neighborhood Blitz and authorizing staff to submit said amendment to HUD and any related action thereto. Bob Silas, you are on, sir.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. As you know, the annual Neighborhood Blitz has become a very important part of our neighborhood revitalization efforts. And it's been successful due in large part to our partnerships and, of course, our city staff. But what really sets us apart from the other cities who do these kind of things is that we replace deteriorated siding before we paint. It really has a more dramatic impact on the neighborhood. In the past, we've used the half-cent sales tax affordable housing funds, the fund balance, to pay for the siding replacement. Unfortunately, those access funds have dried up. So, in order to continue the Blitz, we're recommending using CDBG grant funds. We'd like to move $102,969 from what we call complete rehabs to the annual Blitz. Currently, housing rehab projects can cost up to $25,000 per project, while the Blitz average is about $4,000. So we can almost double the amount of rehabs we can complete in a year. It really gives us more bang for the buck, and we're asking council to allow us to use CDBG funds.
Do I have any discussion on council?
I do.
Start with Don, and then we'll go to you, John.
I'm totally opposed to this. I would rather us fix up houses from top to bottom more or less than painting and doing some of those sort of things that are just outside kind of things. If you've got electrical problems, you've got sheetrock problems, those people have to live inside here. I mean, it's all well and good to fix up the outside, and I'm all for that too, but I would rather do fewer homes and help more people from top to bottom than just a little paint up, fix up on the outside.
Oh, we do have an emergency repair program to handle things like electrical problems, gas leaks, sewer backups, those kind. That doesn't go away. That's one of our most popular programs, and we have a report later on this afternoon that will show that. Very successful. The problem with the complete rehabs, with the funds being cut pretty steadily over the last 5 years, we've gone from doing 25 a year to 15. Eventually, we'll get down to about 4 or 5 a year. So we don't help as many people as we'd like to. So with the dwindling funds, we're going to eventually have to do something anyway.
Well, and I would, and here again, the council may not agree with me, and you may not, but I would rather substantially repair, particularly an older person's home, to make it safe, warm, comfortable for them, than to put siding on the outside and renovate it so it looks good for the neighborhood.
And one more thing, Councilman, we do fund a organization called Helping Hands that does target elderly homeowners to do more extensive than just the outside. So we do have some services available.
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to taking this money and putting it toward them. That's all.
Johnny?
No, Bob, and Don must have been reading my mind. I was just very curious on, you're doing the outside. My question was going to be, what happens on the inside, and why, if you can take care of a home for you said around 4,000, why the drop in numbers? You would think that if you could do 4,000 per home down to 9, why the drastic?
Well, the difference is this: the complete rehab with a $25,000 cap, you can go in and do the sheetrock. You can go and do a lot more. You can do the inside, not just the outside. And we typically do on the typical complete rehab, we do siding replacement and we do painting as part of the package, part of that $25,000. So yeah, the Blitz. We replace siding and sometimes windows, depending on the situation, and then we paint with all the partners, and so that's the difference in the costs. So of course, it is from the same pot of money, though. If we were to do this, what would happen is those complete rehabs would basically go away, with exception of about 5 rehabs that we've targeted for rental rehabs. We're trying to get some landlords interested in. Getting a loan to help fix some of their rental units to rent to low-income families as part of the shortage of our affordable rental stock. So that's what we're talking about. That complete rehab program would basically go away.
And I just like to say, I've always been a proponent of this program because I've seen what it's done out there, and I totally understand where Don's coming from. I'm going to move that we go ahead and approve this, but in talking about the other organization, Helping Hands, if you guys could work more hand in hand as to not only the outside, but maybe tweak up, because you talk about a fire hazard if something electrical were to go wrong, and then.
But we got funds for that, though. We can help with that.
And that's my main concern is just try to get as much done, both in and out, and get. Because it does improve the neighborhood. I honestly believe that. So I'll move to approve that.
Second.
Rodney?
Is there anybody here that's from the Blitz, the Neighborhood Blitz program? How do they feel about this going?
They're very supportive.
Okay.
Very supportive. And not only for the community's sake, but I think for the neighborhood as well. individuals. I mean, when you replace siding and do the painting and do the outside, it's a domino effect, and that's what we're after. And again, we're talking about more bang for the buck, getting across, affecting more citizens. This program is a lot. I think it's a lot better.
Okay, thank you.
Charlotte?
I want to say that I don't have a problem with your request, and I agree it should be done. I hear what Don is saying, and I appreciate that, but I do know there's other programs to assist with more major repairs. Even though siding is major to some, but the Blitz program and the money that is spent there affects the entire neighborhood, not just the one individual. And the other comment that I wanted to make was, you do an outstanding job, Mr. Salas, and I want to commend you for your leadership with the program and all of the programs and the things that you do for the city of San Angelo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Marty, do you have anything before we go back in second round? Don?
Well, you know, of course, with the Blitz, Michael, how many people do we have that takes part in that for the city? Do you know? Or Bob, you may know.
400.
400. What's the cost to the city for 400 people being off for a day?
Well, they're not off for the day. I'm sorry. Go ahead. They're not off for the day. They actually work. It's just that their job performance for that day is targeted somewhere else.
Absolutely. So
But if you were not to allow the staff to participate, we would still hold a neighborhood blitz with volunteers.
And I'm not opposed to that. All my point is it's still taxpayers' money paying those, and that's not figured into this as far as the calculation and the monies that are actually shown for that.
I mean, when you take someone from, say, the legal department, they go work on a park, that's still city property. So that doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It's almost, I won't say it's a wash, but it's more of a wash than
Well, but you still have somebody that's getting paid
I understand, sir. You're right.
a lot of money.
That is a risk that we take, as a risk we take when we close down non-essential personnel and have them go do other things. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Bob, I know this started out as solely a city employee driven
It did.
or executed kind of thing. Where does it sit now with the balance between paid employees and volunteers?
We have more volunteers than paid employees. And like I said, this year, if for some reason the council does not want to allow the staff to participate, we're still going to hold a neighborhood blitz.
So it's got that kind of momentum.
It has that kind of momentum.
Well, if council wants to discuss where this is headed in the future, that can certainly be a future agenda item. The entire fate of the issue.
Yeah, we'll probably bring it back in January for your discussion and approval. So,
Mayor. Now, I just finally wanted to add that, I've been a part of a couple of those blitz, and not only do I see the morale of staff, I mean, they're fired up, ready to go that day, but then also see the morale of even the other volunteers, the ASU volunteers, and everybody else out there. But at the end of the day, when I see that elderly lady and she has her house, painted or just redone, and I see those tears coming out, that's all worth it. That's the bottom line is, we shoot ourselves in the arm as a group, and the morale. You know what I'm saying? It really is exciting to see how excited they are.
Sure.
The day of the event. So
as an aside, I've been asked to be a speaker at the state community development directors conference to talk about the blitz and some of the things we do here. So the word gets out that San Angelo does a lot of things here.
Was this one of our awards?
Yes. This was our award.
It's the award.
Yes.
Yeah, this is we're going to talk about the same thing at the community development. My counterparts across the state.
Well,
Okay,
and understand, I'm not against the blitz. I'm just wanting to make sure that everything's out in the open and understands the finances that we're talking about. And it's a difference in philosophy. I would rather fix up one house from top to bottom, or maybe look at our volunteers for doing an entire house versus fixing siding and painting the outside. And it's just a philosophical
And we could
difference.
morph towards something else later on in the future. And this could be temporary. It could be 3 or 4 years. Hopefully, we're going to run out of houses to do. I mean, that's kind of like the goal. At that point, we can move that money somewhere else. So.
But
How
I
many?
know-
I'm sorry, Charlotte. Go ahead.
But I know also that from working some of the Blitz projects myself, the people, the homes that you are refurbishing on the outside to clean up the neighborhood are very, very proudful of the fact that you're there, but they don't want you in their home.
That's correct. A lot of them don't.
That privacy, it pops up, and they don't want you in their home. And to go in and do electrical work or major work, you got to scale down and get the mass crowds of people non-working to the security of that individual, and their feeling has got to be considered. And I saw a lot of that. It's okay as long as you're outside,
Right.
but please don't come in.
How many dollars did you say, Rob?
$102,969. That's
That's $103,000.
3,000.
Don, 2 years ago, I opposed this for some of the same reasons that you're talking, a little different, but I've got to change my mind. I think that it is worthwhile, and I've seen advantage. So I'd give it a 40 on the negative, and I'd give it a 60 on the positive. So who made the motion to accept this? Johnny did. Johnny moved, and you seconded. We do have a motion to approve. We do have a second. Is there any further discussion from council? Do I have anyone from the public that would like to comment upon this? Come on up, Craig. State your name. You got 3 to 5, buddy.
Craig Myers with WTOS. Speaking directly to the concerns that Councilman Vardaman had, there's 2 ways to do business as an organization. You can do it by the planning department having precedence or the engineering department. Engineers look at one item and see what it accomplishes and is it cost effective. Planning takes all of those and says how do they interact and what are the spin-offs and what's the value of it. The Blitz is not the only part of the neighborhood revitalization that Bob works with and engages with other folks. There are groups and there are organizations that take the insides of the house. But the goal is not to help the most individual families. The goal is to change the neighborhood so that every family in that neighborhood benefits. And the domino effect that he's talked about, I know, having walked the neighborhoods before and after the blitzes, that in Rio Vista over here, the neighborhood on the west side of Bryant, when they did 48 houses a year and a half later, the neighborhoods themselves generated through their citizens 140, total 140 houses that were renovated in an area that very, very few houses did anything, neighbors did anything about their neighborhoods. People are going in, buying up decrepit properties and fixing them up and flipping them. And it doesn't answer every issue. It's not intended to. When WTOS went down time after time to the city, to the state of Texas to get the tax credits to build the 36 houses that are for low-income rental in Blackshear, although we did not meet any of the criteria of the application process, although we were in an area that was very low regarded in terms of the selection process, and even though there's a great deal of prejudice against dealing with individual houses, they did not give San Angelo $4.5 million. You're talking about dollars. $4.5 million to build those houses. They gave it to us because we're part of a comprehensive program that doesn't take it item by item, that puts all those things together and says, what is the end result? The 150 houses that have been done have generated from private investment and neighborhood involvement of citizens over 300 houses that have been improved, and that does not stop the work that goes on, continuing to work with the other things. In addition, for instance, roofs. If you have a bad roof, the rest of your house goes when it rains. We also got a program that got from the Health Foundation $100,000, $100,000 from Coast of DC money to put on 50 new roofs that go along with it. Everything, the electrical, the plumbing, all these kinds of emergency things, they all fit together to provide stuff that just absolutely transforms the neighborhood. Everybody who ran for office, except I think one person, met with us, and they were given this little handout here, and he may or may not have read it, but it talks about how neighborhoods thrive and revitalize themselves in the course of a number of years through the comprehensive and collaborative process in which the city of San Angelo has put in very, very little dollars. And now with the change in the Blitz itself, using almost all volunteers, I think in the last two Blitzes, 70% of all the houses were done by WTOS churches. That allows the people in the city to do things they don't have time for, but that is their responsibility in the neighborhood centers, in the parks, in other kinds of infrastructure. You don't lose a dollar, you gain hundreds of thousands of dollars in labor to continue to do the same things. And I'd suggest, also that...
you got a minute, Craig.
You betcha. The city of San Angelo spends hundreds of thousands of dollars to advertise who we are. Websites, people that go to meetings, that go out there and advertise themselves. You can't pay for the kind of advertising that you get benefiting San Angelo when you get an award from the state. When the state of San Angelo, you don't have a lobbyist down there, but with Drew Darby and the citizens of San Angelo lobbying down there for this program that is recognized statewide as doing something nobody else is doing, you ought to be looking for the fact that there's not going to be any block grant money in a few more years, and that you ought to be prepared to step up and pay a price of $100,000, $200,000 for something that you're getting millions of dollars. 1,200 jobs, $20 million plus in tax base increases. You're not losing money on this sucker.
Thank you, sir. I knew you had something to say, Jerry. Come forward. State your name, and you've got 3 to 5.
It is what it is. Good morning, council, gentle lady, and staff. My name is Jerry C. Now, back some years ago, I was in a delegation that went downstate and we were on a program down there for WTOS to explain neighborhood revitalization and how we got started with the demolition of those homes in those neighborhoods. And up until that time, people were asking us, where is San Angelo? And Drew Darby had just got elected, and nobody even knew where San Angelo was. But once those programs was explained, and done, and they kind of kept up with it, and I went back several more times, especially with this delegation about these homes, the tax credits. People knew San Angelo. They know about the programs that we have done. And we're on the cutting edge of some wonderful things here in San Angelo, and the citizens of Texas has noticed that. We won an award, Bob Silas did, for his work. And what we're asking now is not very much. It's not a big sacrifice. It's just that some homes that was doing 100% reevaluation or reworking, it's just a few less, and we could use that money to go into the Blitz for the siding. It's just sharing the money. We came in and asked one time about getting a half-cent sales tax increase to cover that cost, because it would be terrible, actually. You win an award that's known statewide for the work that you've done with the Blitz, and then the very next year it folds because the city won't support it. That's not a very good look for San Angelo. And I'm glad to see that we have some forward-thinking men here and lady, and thank you for supporting this program. And we'll do what we do, and we'll help you do what you do, and we will support you, and Hope you'll support us. Thank you very much, because we love San Angelo.
Thank you, Jerry. Who else? State your name, Tim, and you've got 3 to 5, sir.
Tim Davenport Herbst from WTOS. And I want to just tell you 2 things about experiences with these neighborhoods. When I got to town here 5.5 years ago, I knew exactly where you could go if you wanted to find gangs and drugs. It was very clear that you could go over to certain places within Blackshear and find that. This last year, when Methodist Health Ministries came to town, and they had a couple extra hours before they were going to meet with another board that I'm on, they decided to go over and look in that area and see what the slums looked like. They went over and they couldn't find the slums. And they came back and reported that. It has transformed that neighborhood. We are moving on to the next neighborhood now. I took a friend of mine who grew up being dropped off by his mother at the apartments in Blackshear while she went out and partied. He got bit by rats, bit by bats. He had to go through the dumpsters to find some food. He cried when I took him through the neighborhood, and he saw what a difference it had made. I have friends in neighborhood and community development on the East Coast and in Austin, and they can't believe what we have done. This is something that we should be proud of, and we should continue funding. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? This is your opportunity. Do we have any further discussion from council? Don.
Let me restate my position. I don't know how we got off on this, but I totally support WTOS and what you do 100%. I am proud to represent that community. And I'm not for cutting $1 from what we're doing. Like I said, I guess it's a difference in philosophy. I believe exactly what you said. We don't have slums anymore. And I realize it's because of this and because of the efforts and work that y'all have done. And I worked with y'all as fire marshal. So my point is, I guess it's just a little bit different in philosophy. And I would love to see, when we look at our half-cent sales tax, a portion of that money's going into these sort of things, going into your organization to help these people. And that was my whole point is, I want the most bang for the buck. And if y'all believe that that's where it is, then I'll vote for it. I represent y'all. So, like I said, I guess it was a little bit different in philosophy, and maybe I didn't make my point quite clear. But I appreciate y'all setting me straight anyway.
Anybody else on council want to help Don dig that hole any deeper?
I think he did a wonderful job.
No more council discussion. Do I have any more discussion from the public? Then let's call for a vote. The motion has been made. It has been seconded that we accept this as it has been proposed. All of those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on that one, please, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This would be a pretty good time for a break. It's almost 10 o'clock, so let's take our 10-minute break that usually lasts 20 minutes. It is 9:52. It is 10 minutes after 10. That means that our 10-minute break only lasted 15 minutes this time, so we're ahead of the game. Let's call the meeting back to order. And there's one housekeeping item that I forgot to mention this morning. There is a West Texas consortium going on today in Big Spring, and it's a regional type thing. We've got people from all over the region, and they're dealing with this Klein Shale, and they're dealing with housing and all the many different items. And that's where Daniel is. Daniel went to the meeting in Big Spring. Anthony Wilson is there as well. So we felt that it was more important that we have a good representation at that, because these things affect all of us. So Michael's sitting up here and Daniel's in Big Spring. That's where. And I didn't have my mic on, but anybody hear what I said? Uh-huh. They usually turn everybody else's mics up and they turn mine down. I don't need a microphone usually, but anyway, that's the situation. Let's move on now. Let's go back to number 9. This is consideration of authorizing 214 premiums for health, dental, and post-65 health insurance, as well as discussion regarding stop loss and vision rates and any related action in connection thereto. Ms. Marley, you're on, please, ma'am.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. I am here today to discuss the insurance premiums for our next calendar year. Obviously, the rising costs of health care and the Affordable Care Act are things that are on everybody's minds these days, and our employees and our retirees are no different. All of our contracts that we presently have with our insurance providers last one more year. They will expire in December of 2014. The only exception to that is our stop-loss carrier, which we have a renewal each year. And so today we'll be discussing that as well. Next spring, we'll be going out to bid for all new carriers. And so those new policies will take effect then in 2015. Some more background. If you recall, we have the federal program, the Employee Retiree Reinsurance Program. That was through Health and Human Services, and we did qualify for 2 payments that came from them in a total of $343,288. That money is completely monitored by the feds, and it can only be used to offset either plan costs that the employer would face, or employer costs or premiums for the employees and retirees. If you recall, the council did authorize us using $142,000 of that money last year to offset any increases that we perceived last year for the premiums. That leaves us with a balance of a little over $201,000 that we'll be discussing today. As far as health insurance goes, based on our utilization this year and some of the mandatory plan changes that we have to make to stay in compliance with the Affordable Care Act, we are looking at an increased cost of $360,288. That increase we will seek your authorization today to offset by $201,288, those ERRP funds. These are specific costs that $201,000 could be used towards. So if we do that, then there would be an additional $159,000 that we'd come up short from keeping the premiums going up in any way. I know when we talked about our pay raises this year, we were really anxious to make sure that we didn't absorb all of a person's pay raise with the increases that we saw in insurance. So our attempt has been to keep the premiums at a zero cost increase if we can. Now, some of the changes that we have to make, and I really want to thank my staff because over the last 2 years we've been making little incremental changes to get ready for the Affordable Care Act, things that have been very obscure for most people to even recognize that we've made changes to. But this is one of the changes that we have to do next year, and that one is to reduce our out-of-pocket maximum in the low plan from $5,000 to $4,350. Obviously, when you do that, it does create a larger liability for the plan because people will hit their out-of-pocket quicker, and therefore our costs to the plan would start faster. But again, we have made all these little changes to where that's the only mandatory one that we have to do to be ready for the Affordable Care Act. The other changes that we are proposing this year in order to reduce the costs is to introduce a specialist copay across all plans. Most insurance companies these days, you pay one copay to go see your primary care physician and a different copay if you have to see a specialist. Our plans don't presently have a copay for specialists, but if we opt to make that change, the specialist copay would be double what you pay to go see a primary care physician. That will help offset some of the costs to the plan. The other thing that we are recommending is to make the emergency room copay match in all 3 plans. Right now, the low plan pays $300 if you have an emergency room visit, and if you are admitted to the hospital, that is waived. But right now, the medium and the high plans don't have that size of a copay. It's less than that, and so we are recommending that we make it the same across the board. It's easier to administer that way, and it also offsets the cost to the plan.
Lisa, let me ask you real quick.
Yes.
The ER copay, is there a difference between me walking into the ER or me being taken to the ER on this copay?
It's the same.
Same
It's
thing?
the same either way. Yes, sir. Those are all the changes for the health insurance.
What's the price on the medium and high? You said it goes lower from 300. What does it go down to?
200.
It's 200. And then I think it's even 100 in the high plan. It goes up by $100 in each plan. 100, 200, 300.
So what's it going to go down to?
No, so now it's going to be 300 across the board.
Okay, that's better.
Okay, on dental insurance, the provider that we have has reported a 9% premium increase is what they are going to charge us for the next year. That represents $1.37 a month more for our single employee. The plan, the city obviously pays for the single person's coverage, and so the total cost to the increase to our plan for the city's payment is $13,300 a year. Obviously, employees pay their own dependent coverage, and that'll be on the next slide. I'll show you what those are. If you recall, when we started offering the dental coverage to our retirees, the council approved doing that, but that the retirees would pay their full cost. The city doesn't offset that cost for their dental coverage. So with that 9% increase, that amounts to $1.62 per month. That would be an increase to a single retiree coverage on the dental plan. Their dependent coverage is also on another slide here, so let me show you those. These are the increases, the 9% increases for the dependent coverage. On the left, it shows our current premiums based on what tier someone might be in. And then if we fund it, if we fund that $13,300, then the employees would continue to pay nothing at the single coverage rate. And you see the modest increases for the dependent coverage there. These are the retiree rates. Excuse me, the current prices are on the left. Those are 100% of the premiums for coverage in those tiers that retirees pay at the present time. We have 175 single retirees or retirees who have elected single coverage, and you can see on the 2014 side what those premiums will go up based on this 9% increase. Our post-65 health insurance, or some people call it a Medicare supplement plan, they are predicting an increase of 1.7% for 2014. The city pays that entire cost for those employees or those retirees that are in the post-65 single coverage. So the cost for that is $8,000 for the next year. If we don't fund that, it would amount to a $3 per month increase for those post-65 retirees. The dependent rates, obviously, those would go up at $3 a month as well. And on this next slide, I have the premium. So if you today decide not to approve this, then their rates would be the numbers that are on the right there.
So do you have a number on the post-65? How many
people we have? It's like a little over 200 people.
But 177 would be total? You said
No, 175 are the retirees that are under 65.
Under 65. Mm-hmm. So an additional 200 over 65.
Or over 65, right. And the dependents as well go up the $3 a month on this one. Our stop-loss insurance, this again, remember, is the insurance when someone reaches the maximum that our plan pays towards a claim. The stop-loss insurance kicks in and reimburses us for costs that exceed that deductible. We worked with them throughout the summer, and when we were doing our budget this year, we put in for a 10%, what we expected it would come in at 10%. That 10% turned out to be what was approved in our budget for this next year. And when the renewal rates came in at stop loss, they come in late in the year because they want to have as close to 12 months of history as possible to look at how we've utilized the plan. This year we've had one of the biggest years we've had in a long, long time on people hitting stop loss. And so they came in with their renewal rate much higher than 10%. So we've negotiated it with the assistance of our consultant, and they got it down to 10%. So we're not asking you today for any more funding for that. That it just happens to be what we were able to get in our budget with the dollars that we already had. So I just wanted to give you that update on stop loss. The deductible is not going to change. It'll still be $150,000. So our plan is responsible to pay those bills without any reimbursement up to $150,000, and anything that is charged over $150,000 we're reimbursed through this stop loss.
Lisa?
Yes.
Could you just take a moment and explain to us again what the ERRP money is, when it came into effect, when we received the money, and what it is to be used for? Just that
Sure.
portion of this, please.
Absolutely. The ERRP is Early Retiree Reinsurance Program, is what it stands for. And the reason it was developed was because more and more employers were dropping retirees from their coverage. And so they used that as an incentive for companies to offer insurance to their retirees with this promise that there would be refunds made to your plan, or reinsurance, where it comes back to the plan. And so the program, I think they actually passed it into law in 2010, and we applied for it. We're granted it. It was a long process where there's a threshold that has to be met. You could only turn in claims that were greater than $15,000, but less than $90,000, and then they were going to reimburse a percentage of those claims. But it was only on retirees who were retired and less than age 62. So,
didn't we originally receive, though, $331,000?
Yes, $343,288.
$343. So it's now at 201?
That's correct.
What did we use? Refresh my memory on what we used the difference for.
Sure. We used the $142,000 last year. We were going to have to raise our premiums last year by $142,000, and so you all allowed us to use that.
That premium was on the current employees.
It was on everybody.
On everybody, and retirees as well.
Absolutely. We did not raise any premiums last year.
Okay.
And so we knew going in this year to keep it flat with no increase, we'd have to come up with that 142 first to make up that difference. And so that's where it comes in at the 383, well, let me see, what's the number?
360.
Yeah, 360,288.
Thank you.
Thank you. But I didn't answer your question about what you can use it for. The government was really specific on that it could only be used for three reasons: to offset the plan costs, to offset the employer's contributions to the plan, or to offset the participants' costs. Okay.
Lisa, another
Yes.
question on that ERP funds. So I know we have a balance of $201,000. Is there any more funds coming in this year, or
no? That program has been finished. They ran out of money. They had a set amount of money that was going to be used nationwide for this program, and all employers, it was just a free-for-all, first come, first serve. And so we were one of the first 12 cities in Texas that actually were awarded the program. We had outstanding claims that we had turned in, but they ran out of money before they got to them on the list. So the 343 is all that we received.
Lisa, you said we were on the final year of our contract.
That's correct.
How long do we normally do those contracts for?
Generally, it's a 3-year contract, but it's up to negotiations when we go out to RFP.
Okay.
And let me just be clear that those, when we do go out to bid on those, it is merely to award the contract to that carrier. It's not going to be a contract that we lock in a price that's good for 3 years, because it doesn't really work that way with insurance, because it's completely driven by the utilization of the plan and how many claims we have. And if we have a dreadful year with a lot of costs, they're not going to lock themselves into a lower cost and lose money. It just doesn't work that way with insurance.
Okay. And we, in our we've got it now where we use community?
That's correct.
Okay. Can they not go to Shannon or?
They can go to Shannon. There's just no coverage to go to Shannon. One of the ways that we were able to keep the costs low for our plan for the health insurance or for the self-insurance plan was to come up with a single plan provider. And so the two hospitals in town, we worked together to see who would give us the best deal. And at the time, I mean, that's simplifying it a lot, but it was community that won that bid. The difference in the savings was significant, and the council approved going with that. So now what happens is if a person wants to go to Shannon, they can go, but there is no coverage through our plan.
Okay.
They can't even go as an out-of-network.
Really?
That's correct.
Okay.
So if this money is all going to be used up this year, do you anticipate a big jump in?
Well, it's hard to say, and that's I think we'll see a big jump just because of the way insurance goes. I think we'll see a jump because of the Affordable Care Act. I think, as that completely evolves, we're going to see changes. That was sort of my thought in this year's presentation, is let's try to keep it flat again. We know we're going to get hit next year when all of these things come in. Plus, I think when we go out to bid next year, I don't know what we'll get. We were really fortunate to get a single plan provider this time around. I don't know if we'll be that lucky next time. It may be that, we can't negotiate that. So ideally, I think employees are bracing for what the new plans will be, and my thought would be to try to keep it even keel this year, and let's just see what we can negotiate for next year.
Johnny?
Lisa, I just wanted to add to, Aetna is our carrier now.
That's correct.
And I have visited with both hospitals, administrators from both, and they're very much, let me back up. When is this contract over?
December 2014.
Okay. Sometime before then, I think both hospitals are very much interested in doing a tag team, and not just throw us all to one or the other. And I've heard this just recently where, hey, if you give us both a chance, and I think we'll all be happy, and we can be covered at both locations. I think that should be one of the contract negotiation points with these guys, or whoever you go with the next time around, and so we can get a little of both worlds.
Right, and Daniel and I have actually met with both of the hospitals recently, and trying to get those talks started to where we can try to work together in the next contract. There's nuances that are included with that make it difficult for both hospitals to participate in the same plan. If we were to get like a Blue Cross, let's say, for instance, to come in, it would just be a major medical plan. We wouldn't have the good pricing that we have right now, and so our self-insurance fund would get hit with a lot of higher prices for some of the procedures that are done, and that's the beauty of us negotiating with a single hospital. If the two hospital groups want to play together in the same sandbox, we can make that happen, but it will be up to them to be willing to do that when we start negotiations next year.
And make it more cost effective for us.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
From my standpoint, I would love to see both hospitals in the system.
Yes.
And I'm concerned right now about communities lost one surgeon's retiring and they lost another.
Oh, yes.
What are our retirees and our employees going to do if there's not a surgeon at community?
Well, and we do have provisions that we can go through Aetna to allow them to use doctors over at Shannon. We just don't get the same break on the pricing. And so when there are no providers in town that provide that service, what we've been doing is telling employees that you have to stay. I mean, if you want to stay in network so that you get the best coverage, then you need to go to a doctor that's in the plan. Myself, I drive to Abilene to see my specialist. There's not one here in town. And so, you have to make that choice. Are you going to pay for it out of pocket by going to Shannon, or do you want to go out of town and stay in network and get coverage at a low copay? I mean, that's the cost you pay for the coverage.
I really would hope that we fix that.
I do too.
I really hope we fix that. That is so unfair to our employees. Anyone else?
Too.
Well, I want to say I agree. I've heard quite a few employees that were not happy with having to go to Abilene or somewhere else, and I sympathize with them because I have to go to Houston for my specialist. So I hope we fix it.
I do too. I'm looking forward to the negotiations next year. I hope it will work.
Michael?
Mayor, it's a little bit of a rabbit trail, but sometimes when we talk about budgets and staffing and burdens, we have a hard time putting our finger directly on what we call increased regulation. But this is a good opportunity to point out that this federal legislation has significantly increased the administrative burden that goes with running a plan, and we are anticipating it's going to actually increase the costs also. But in spite of that increased burden, there has not been a corresponding increase in staffing in HR, and so I think we would suggest that we applaud their efforts, and also keep in mind that anytime we create rules, we create a burden for somebody, and in this case, we're the victim of the rules.
True.
So thank you for your work.
Well, thank you, Michael. All right. I still have a little bit further to go.
Go ahead, please.
All right.
Is that all right, Johnny?
Yeah, I would just,
yes.
Before it's all said and done, I'd like to get a breakdown of the $360,000 increase.
Oh, sure.
If you can.
Sure.
And you may be
I have
going
it
there.
here. I have it here. Good news, vision, no increase for 2014. It's a simple slide. All right, so during the budget workshops this year, it was determined that there was $185,341 that was remaining from budgeted revenue over expenditures. This became known as the rainy day fund. What staff is recommending and asking approval for is to utilize a portion of that rainy day fund in combination with the ERRP fund to offset the proposed increases for the 2014 premiums. And this is the breakdown of that cost that you were just asking for, Johnny. After using the $201,288 from ERRP, there leaves a shortfall of $180,300. So if you look at the total from the budgeted revenue over expenditures, that was $185,341. We back out the $159,000 for the health insurance, the $13,300 for the dental, the $8,000 for the post-65 health insurance, and that would leave $5,041 in the rainy day fund.
And that's supposed to take us all the way through 2014. I thought we'd already used parts of this rainy day fund.
No, sir.
I worked 10 years to get it,
No,
and we got to keep it 2 months.
Yes, sir.
I thought it was 2 minutes.
So,
But I've still got 5,000 left.
That's right. We didn't wipe it out entirely with our request. But we are asking approval from council to use the balance of our ERRP funding, which is the $201,288, and to utilize $180,300 from the budgeted revenue over expenditures to offset those premium increases that we've described today, and also to approve the stop-loss renewal.
Charlotte.
I realize it's not much. When you look at the retirees, their increased amount of that $1.62 per month, which is $13,300 a year. And it's certainly not much, but it's a lot if you're retired. And I would like to see us cover that increase for our retirees. We don't do anything else for them.
We are recommending, this does cover their health insurance increase. What it did not cover was the dental increase.
That's what I'm asking them.
Okay, and so I did calculate it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The 175 retirees that are in the single dental coverage, that increase at $1.62 a month comes to $3,402 per year. That there, and there is money left to do that, so that would be your call.
There went the rest of the rainy day fund.
No, you've got about $2,000.
Still got $2,000?
Give or take.
We'll keep that for seed money if you'll
Like
cover the
1,600,
dental.
We're going to talk about this rainy day fund in this next budget cycle, and we're going to get a rainy day fund that's going to hold for more than 2 months. I'd just soon use the rest of it to take care of the dental.
Okay, I understand.
Thank you.
Let's give them every break
Thank
we can.
Okay.
Russell?
Anything to keep Russell happy.
Yeah, we got to keep Russell happy. Talk to us, buddy. Tell us what you got.
Thank y'all for having a low podium. I'm Russell Smith, retired police chief. I would support very much, and I know all the retirees would, that it stay flat. Not many of them do not get cost of living raises. And they're living on fixed income. And anything you can do to help will help. I've studied insurance since we lost our pharmacy and since we changed everything up and retirees started paying. I'm very concerned. And I'm not talking about y'all now, but I'm talking about health insurance. And I'm talking about the way things are going. So anything that you do here today to help the retirees, we'd greatly appreciate. Because we all don't, and I don't know that any of us know exactly where this is all going. We know we lost part of our liberty, our freedom to make our own decisions. But everything I studied to reduce the cost that I talked to y'all about earlier, none of it's included in that. So we would appreciate it. I'm not going to take a lot of time today. Thank y'all for helping us.
Well, as Nancy Pelosi said, let's pass it and then we'll see what's in it. And now we're understanding what's in it. Rodney?
One question I have, and I'm for this, on using this, but I'm nervous that next year we're going to get hit hard. And the only thing I would say is we might ought to look at keeping some of this money for next year and offset the biggest hit, which is we know we're going to get hit hard next year. It's going to be a lot higher than going up $1 something a month. And I realize on a fixed budget that that can be a really big deal, but I'm just nervous about next year. And we're not getting any more of this money. It's
right.
Gone.
Right. I share your worry. All I can tell you is that we will negotiate very, very hard next year. I mean, I really would appreciate it staying flat. That'll
Okay.
mean that it stayed flat through the whole 3 years of this plan, and that's going a long way for our employees and our retirees that we've been able to do that.
I'll take your
But we will work
recommendation.
diligently to
I know.
keep it at the very lowest.
You
we
always
can.
do.
Thank you.
Do we have further council discussion on this? Anybody else from the public want to weigh in on this? I think then I'm going to ask for someone to move that we accept this. I believe
I will move that we accept the presentation and for it to include covering the cost of the retirees, the increase in their dental, which was the $13,300 additional dollars.
No.
Second.
$1.30.
No, it's 3,000 something.
Yeah,
$3,000.
it's and you're talking about for the
I need new
retirees,
glasses.
the retirees in the single plan in the dental coverage.
Yeah.
Yes.
3402. Yes.
That's my motion, and I move to make it.
Don,
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Don's already seconded. Sound like a motion has been made. Discussion has been had. If there is no, Johnny?
I just want one more, and
Yes.
I'm all for this, but tell me again how you came up with the 10% increase on the health. You guys already talked about it, or
Stop loss.
I mean, the stop loss.
Right.
You've already negotiated that?
Well, Yes, yes. Well, see, we have them as a provider. We're still in our last year
Right.
with our stop-loss carrier. And so they came back at us with a way too high of a renewal. We guessed back in the summer that we could, with the budget that we have, we could, sustain a 10% increase. So when they came back with a much higher renewal rate for next year, excuse me. And so we negotiated them down to 10% to match our budget that we had already established. If it had not happened, then we'd be coming forward to you and saying part of this money we'd need to offset stop loss.
Okay. Well, if it's set in stone, that's.
Retirees, I know this is it's not perfect, but is it something we can live with? Do y'all agree with me that we need to get Shannon and community both back in the system? Okay, that needs to be done.
Yeah,
when this
absolutely.
expires in 2014, we need to get both hospitals back into this system. All right, motion has been made. It has been seconded. All those in favor, as the motion was made, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on that one. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Let's move on now to number 10, which is the second public hearing. Consideration of adopting an ordinance relating to the City of San Angelo's application of existing policies regarding commercial property development moratorium and related matters. An ordinance of the City of San Angelo adopting commercial property development moratorium in accordance with state law upon public hearing and issuance of written findings to expire 90 days after the date the moratorium is adopted, including but not limited to approval of new applications for commercial property development relating to mobile homes, manufactured housing parks, recreational vehicle parks, providing for a severability clause, providing an effective date. Brother Fleming, I believe this was your deal. Do you want to, we pretty well worked this over last time. You want to go ahead and move that we accept this as presented?
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion to approve as presented with the second. Any further discussion from council on this? Do we have any discussion from the public on the moratorium as we discussed last meeting? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Well, Johnny's gone, so put a 5-0 on it. That'll take care of that one. Let's go on to number 11. Number 11 is the first public hearing, consideration of introducing an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Exhibit A, zoning ordinance, Code of Ordinance of the City of San Angelo, Z 1337 SKG Engineering, an ordinance amending Chapter 12, Exhibit A of the Code of Ordinances of the City of San Angelo, which said Exhibit A of Chapter 12 adopts zoning regulations, use districts, and the zoning map in accordance with a comprehensive plan by changing the zoning and classification of the following property to wit: 17 West 8th Street, located approximately 200 feet west of the intersection of West 8th Street and North Chadbourne. This property specifically occupies the Miles Addition, Block 23, Lot 5, in north central San Angelo, changing the zoning classification from two-family residential, RS2, to general commercial, CG, providing for severability, providing a penalty. Kevin Boyd Thomas, you are on, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm trying to locate the presentation, actually. Oh, okay. Sorry. May have included it here. I apologize.
Make that last one a 6-0, Alicia. Johnny said aye. Too
He
late?
wasn't present.
5-0 then. You too late, buddy.
It passed.
We didn't put you down as a nay.
Even though we've got the microphone in the back, I mean, not microphone, speaker.
5-0 carries. Ain't no deal.
Okay. I apologize. And so this is for which case? I'm sorry.
This is the going from residential RS2 to general commercial
Gotcha.
CG.
Okay.
17 West 8.
17 with 8.
Okay. All right. Well, the subject property is located a block north of the Houston Hart Expressway and approximately 200 feet west of North Chadbourne Street in north central San Angelo. The two dominant zoning types in the area is two-family residential RS2 and general commercial, heavy commercial CGCH. The property is relatively small. It measures 50 feet wide and 100 feet long. It's also zoned for two-family residential RS2. On the immediate block there, to the east is heavy commercial, and to the west is office commercial. As you can see with the aerial, the property is currently vacant. There are quite a bit of vacant properties, residential properties in the area. The long-range vision plan calls for commercial, which is compatible with the general commercial that's being proposed. Here is a notification map. The properties that are identified as the ones are in favor of this request. Looking east of West 8th Street is the commercial corridor of North Chaparral Street. And some of these other pictures include more into the block there where the residential properties are. This is the subject property, which currently serves as a vacant lot, as I mentioned. And looking north of the site, planning staff does recommend approval of this request. And if you have any questions, I can answer it at this time.
Johnny, is this yours, or Don, is this yours?
I think it's mine.
I think so.
I'm not sure. It's right on the border.
It's probably
there.
right on the line. I think
Yeah.
it's probably yours. You want to take this one, sir?
I drove by it. I don't really have any problem with it. I think the whole area right through there's moving toward commercial a whole lot more than residential.
Kevin, do you have any idea what's going in here? Has there been any type of business?
There was some discussion of potentially placing offices there on the site, but it's pretty open. They haven't solidified a particular use.
And they asked for CG instead of an NG?
Yes.
Or neighborhood commercial?
Yes.
What is it, neighborhood commercial?
NC.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
That is along the access road.
Yes.
That's correct.
And Kevin, there were no proponents?
That's correct.
Opponents?
We only received, I believe there were 11 notifications, and we only received one in favor for this request.
None opposed?
None opposed.
Don, you want to make a motion either way, sir?
I move for acceptance approval as presented.
I'll second.
We do have a motion to approve. This will be going from RS2, two-family residential, to a CG district, general commercial. Any other further comment from council? Do we have anyone in the audience, either proponent or opponent to this, that would like to speak? If not, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Okay, we've got a 5-1 on this one. Let's move on now then to number 12. First public hearing, consideration of introducing an ordinance authorizing abandonment of public streets and right-of-ways in the Fairview Edition, Block 66, 67, and 74 in North Central San Angelo. An ordinance providing for the abandonment and closing of unimproved streets and alley segments to wit an 80-foot wide portion of the unimproved public right-of-way for Florence Street, extending approximately 680 foot northward from Hughes and immediately south of the railroad right-of-way to include portions of the 100-foot right-of-way of Hughes Street and approximately 100 by 270-foot portion of unimproved public right-of-way of Velma, and a 20 by 430 alley right-of-way in Block 66 and 67, and 20-foot by 35-foot alley right-of-way in Block 74 of the Fairview Edition in North Central San Angelo, authorizing conveyance thereof to the abutting property owners, providing for the terms and conditions of abandonment, conveyance, and providing for the mayor to execute and deliver a quitclaim deed to the attributing property owners. This is yours, is it not, Johnny?
No, that one's mine too.
This is yours as well? All right. Kevin?
Alrighty. Well, the second case involves an abandonment of 3 street right-of-ways. You have Hughes Street, portions of Hughes Street. Go closer here. Portions of Hughes Street, Florence Street that runs north to south, and Velma Street. We also have segments of alley proposed abandonments for the Fairview Edition for Block 66, 67, and a small sliver here for Block 74 there. Here is an aerial describing the area. Much of the adjoining properties here belong to the Southwest Orient properties with the railroad company there. So this shows just an imagery of the existing water sewer lines. I did not have any photographs, but it's generally off of Hughes Street, where it's mostly industrial. Hughes Street is identified as a collector street. It's a four-way road. So if you have any questions at this time, I can answer those for you.
Kevin, can you go back 2 or 3 slides? I'll tell you where.
Is this that property we were talking about yesterday, Marty?
One more.
One more.
Where the
Right
sand
there,
plant?
right there.
Okay.
And it's all of which being unimproved.
Okay.
When we abandon a property, do we give it away? Do we sell it? Do we just?
We do go through a purchasing process with that. We look at the fair market value and then do some calculations, but they have to purchase the amount that is stated in the quitclaim deed.
Okay.
Who would profit from this?
We found that it wasn't beneficial for the city to continue to maintain. And so because Southwest Orient properties, they own adjacent lands throughout, they would gain most of the land here with this abandonment.
So the railroad would profit?
Right.
Lee?
Mr. Pfluger.
Yeah, Lee, come up and talk to this, please, sir.
No, it won't be the railroad. I'm Lee Pfluger with Southwest Orient Properties. The railroad goes on the east side of this property and the west side of this property. And Hirschfield used to use this to offload their steel forever and ever and ever. So it would be a private company. What I did, I bought everything adjacent to the railroad that the state of Texas didn't own. And this little 3-acre sliver was between the two railroads. And so it's just heavy manufacturing on both sides. These roads don't go through.
There's never been roads there, has there?
No, there's never roads there.
Right.
It's just a big vacant lot, basically what it is.
I was going to say, it doesn't look like there's too much city maintenance going on those roads.
And everything to the east of this has been abandoned. All the roads to the east have been abandoned. The roads to the south have been abandoned. And from where my property is, and you see the old feed yard, those streets have been abandoned. And of course, you can't go across the railroad tracks either way. But I didn't want that to think the railroad was going to go that way, because the railroad tracks are owned by the state of Texas, and they're under lease to a Mexican rail company. Okay.
Don, you want to make
Any
a
other
motion either way?
questions? Okay.
No, I'll
Hey,
move for approval.
Lee, so why does it say Southwest Orient Properties LLC owner?
That's my corporation.
So you're not part of the railroad?
No, I'm not part of the railroad. Okay. I mean, that's just the name of the company that I established whenever I bought the adjacent lands to the railroads.
Thank you, sir. Don?
I move for approval.
Anybody want to second it? We do have a motion. We do have a second. Any further discussion, council? Do we have anyone else from the public, either opponent or proponent for this, that wish to speak at this time? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on that one, please, ma'am. We are now down to number 13, which is first public hearing. Consideration of introducing an ordinance authorizing abandonment of public streets and right-of-way in the Miles Edition, Block 32 in North Central San Angelo. An ordinance providing for the abandonment and closing of the following alley to wit: approximately 20-foot wide, 490-foot long portion of alley running east to west, perpendicular to Martin Luther King, located in Block 32 of the Miles Edition, North Central San Angelo, authorizing the conveyance thereof to the abutting property owners, providing for terms and conditions of abandonment and conveyance, providing for the mayor to execute and deliver a quick claim deed to the abutting property owners, You going to handle this one too, Kevin? Okay.
Absolutely.
Take off, sir.
All right. This property is roughly a block and a half north of the Houston Hart Expressway, as you see here. It is Block 32 of the Miles Edition. The alley proposed abandonment is roughly 20 feet wide and 490 feet long. It runs east to west, and the current zoning is two-family residential RS2. And with the aerial, you can see that the Carver School complex occupies the block. Similar to the previous request, the alley is unimproved and haven't been fully utilized in quite some time. There's actually some enclosure, a fence enclosure, to the western portion of the block here. Also some vegetation there. This is looking east along the proposed abandonment and looking west. And we are recommending approval subject to some conditions. And if you have any questions, I can answer that at this time.
What are the provisions?
Okay. It's just one condition, and basically because there is sewer and water lines along the alley, that we are recommending a reservation of the entire stretch there to be open and unobstructed for maintenance and improvements in the future.
Don, this still yours. Yes, sir.
I just have a question, not
Absolutely.
the immediate last one that we looked at, but the one I voted nay on.
Yes.
Where is it in conjunction with this?
That one is further east. It's not too far from North Bell Street, so it's roughly 1,500 feet west of North Bell Street.
Bell Street?
The other abandonment.
What about the 17?
The zone
Yeah,
change
8th Street.
Here.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're about 2 blocks away, Charlie.
Yeah.
Right, I'm
It's
sorry.
right in the same
I'm
area.
sorry. I thought you were I apologize for that.
Yeah, this is 9th Street and the other one's 8th Street, wasn't it, Kevin?
Yes.
So it's right in the same area.
Both of them go to commercial?
The other one went to commercial, this one just an abandoned.
This is just an abandonment.
What you think about it, Don?
I move for approval. I can't believe that when they built the school, and they've had that thing there long enough for oak trees to be 30 feet tall, so, to me, it's just kind of a technicality anyway.
Right.
But Kevin, did I understand you right now? They have to purchase that land?
Well, in the quitclaim deed, there is a set amount that they will be required to pay in order for us to relinquish.
Okay.
Okay,
thank you.
Yes.
So is that going to SAISD, or who's it going to?
Because they own all the lots to the south and north of the alley, yes, sir. It would go to them.
Well, the money would come from them. They would pay
Yeah,
us.
That's
money
what I'm
will come
saying.
from
Yeah,
them.
it would come from there.
Did Don receive a second?
Not yet?
No.
Second.
Okay. We do have a motion, we do have a second. Any further discussion, council? Opponents and proponents from the public? If not, I'll call for the motion. Call for the vote. The motion has been made and seconded that we approve this as presented. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Put a 6-0 on that one too, please, ma'am. All right, we've already done 14. We're back to Bob Salas, number 15. Public hearing, consideration of approving the 212 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, CAPER, and authorizing staff to send CAPER to HUD and any related action thereto. Brother Salas, you are on, sir. Okay. Does anyone else, Charlotte needs about 5 minutes, everybody else want to take 5? Huh? Let's keep going.
Going?
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. Mayor, Council, the CAPER is an annual HUD requirement that is due the end of December. It does require a public hearing. It covers the past program year from October the 1st, 2011 to September 30th, 2012. The report outlines expenditures, identifies accomplishments, and it addresses key interest items. The report is comprehensive, and it covers a variety of issues such as resources, barriers to affordable housing, and lead-based paying, just to name a few. I don't cover all those. It's in the report. Here's a snapshot of the year's resources. We received a little over $737,000 of CDBG funds and over $290,000 in home funds. And we spent $771,000 in CDBG and $319 in home funds. Expenditures do include prior year funds. So there's always a little bit more expenditure than amount available. Here's a list of our accomplishments for the year. We completed 14 major rehabs and 50 emergency repair projects, expending over $215 in these two programs. We funded one code officer who worked over 3,900 cases in the target neighborhoods. We funded ASU to carry out the renter mediation service. They were able to help 14 renters with housing issues. Helping Hands assisted 33 elderly homeowners. We remitted the annual Section 108 loan payment for $151K. That's for Producers Park and for Rio Vista Park. We assisted 18 first-time homebuyers with down payment and closing costs to buy their new homes. We provided rental assistance to 33 special needs clients. And in our case, special needs is MHMR. And Galilee, CDC, they constructed 3 new homes using home funds. Here's a list of our non-grant funded accomplishments. It includes the 32 homes that we sited and painted through the city's neighborhood blitz over in Blackshear this year. 29 homes were insulated through the ADMA's weatherization program. We provided gap financing for 7 home buyers through the Development Corporation F and sales tax. We worked 9 cases of indigent cremation for the county. And we completed 59 roofs funded by the Development Corporation and the Health Foundation. We advertised the caper through ads in the newspaper and on city's website. We made hard copies available at key locations throughout the city for them to review, and we're asking council to approve the report as required so we can forward to it.
Council? Johnny?
Just have one question. I thought the roof repair program had gone away.
We've had 2 roof programs, one 2 years ago and then one just recently, and we just completed that.
So it's still alive and well.
It depends on grant funds. We have to go out, if we want to continue this year, we'll have to apply again. They won't let us apply until we finish. We just finished, so we have to wait till we will resubmit.
So you went to the Health Foundation and who else?
And the Coastal DC.
Oh, okay.
The problem with Coastal DC, there's no more affordable housing fund balance to support it. So and the Health Foundation does require matching funds. I'm not sure where we're going to get the matching funds.
Okay.
It's something I have to work through. So we may not have it this year.
I'm asked all the time about that program. So
yes, sir. And it's a great program. We love it. Citizens love it. It's just funding. It's always a problem.
Bob, I've had a couple of calls in the last couple of weeks, and you spoke about these MHMR group homes. I've had calls from 2 of them where MHMR group homes were going in neighborhoods. Is there any special zoning required for this? Is there any criteria?
Actually, I think that's a different program. What we do is we provide rental assistance for them to go into existing rental apartments, and we pay the rent until they get to Section 8. That's what this program is. I can't answer that question. I'll have to defer to the planning folks.
Okay. All right, that was my only question. Charlotte?
Well, when Carl Buchter went off of county commissioners, he had pleaded with you as well as me, I believe, to see what we could do about these group homes in residential neighborhoods. Checking with the state, checking with equal housing, there is nothing, absolutely nothing to keep them out of residential neighborhoods. They're learning to adjust and to live on their own, and this is the way that it's done.
Well, that's what I told both of them that called me. It's just a fact of life.
Yeah. So.
Anyone want to make a move on this either way?
I'll move for approval of this item as presented.
Anybody want to second it?
I'll second.
Anybody want to say anything else about it?
Back to your issue, the fire marshal and the health department both inspect those facilities, but there's no zoning. They're just a family home.
How about I'm not sure about capacity of individuals in the house. That may be an issue.
Right. There's no more than 4 bedrooms.
Yeah.
No more than.
So if they meet that criteria, I think they're okay. They're okay. They're fine.
Well, the next one that calls, then I'll know what to tell them. Right. Do we have any public comment on this? Either way. The motion has been made that we accept the caper as presented. It has been seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay.
Thank you.
Put a 6 so on that one, please, ma'am. And we are now to number 16. This is Scott Ferris. We may need you. It's consideration of authorizing staff to negotiate the purchase of a fire engine by a buy-aboard purchasing co-op from Hall Motors, a Ferrera dealer, authorizing additional equipment purchases from other vendors and a total combined amount not to exceed $460,000, authorizing the city manager to execute said contract and any related documents. Brother Ferris, your own, sir.
Yes, sir. We are proposing at this time to buy off the buy-board purchase to replace engine number 6, which is out on 44th Street. That truck is 18 years old at this present. Our goal is to replace those trucks and put them into reserve status at the 15-year mark, and we're already 3 years past that. So we're starting to see a bunch of maintenance issues with that vehicle. The brakes have went down on it more than 10 times in the last 2 years, and we just see an increase in maintenance issues with that certain vehicle. So we would like to replace that vehicle.
And this is something that we planned for, we budgeted for, because we have a CPI in effect that we can
Yes,
replace
sir.
these fire trucks at. So the money's there.
Yes, sir. Money is there.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion on this either way?
Well, the horses were getting old.
Yes, they were.
The feed was getting high
Yeah.
in the water.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm going to take Rodney's second on that. Got the approval, got the motion from Marty. Is there any further council discussion, Johnny?
This is a brand new
Yes, sir.
truck.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not used.
No, sir.
You do reuse some of the tools and those sort of things.
Oh, yes,
off
sir,
the
definitely.
existing
The
ones,
amount
but
of money that we're asking here
it's
will not
strictly-
replace everything that's on that truck. So we'll take some of the stuff that we can replace from the old truck and put them onto the new. We're just replacing the stuff that gets old, the hose that's on top of it, it starts to wear, it gets old, so we'll replace those items.
Right.
So,
Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Any further council discussion?
What do you do, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead.
What do you do with the old truck?
the old truck will be put into a reserve status so that when one does break down, we'll have one to get into. Now, this vehicle, we'll have to do an analysis and we'll have to compare it to the oldest truck that we have that we would be moving off the fleet and auctioning off. We'll have to compare and look at where the maintenance issues are with our oldest truck versus the maintenance issues with this truck, because it might be better for us to keep one of those older trucks and to get rid of this, the ones that's causing us a lot of problems. But that'll be an analysis problem we'll have to dig into and see which way is the best for us to go.
I personally think you ought to sell it to the mayor. I think he'd look good driving around town.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
I really think that you ought to use this one just on circumstances that don't require brakes.
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely.
Where do you house your reserve vehicles?
We have them at the fire stations. We have the 4 bays, and usually there's a fire truck and an ambulance in each one of them. So we'll house those reserve units. I think right now we have 3 reserve units.
Okay.
My point to the question for him is they are as economical as they can in reusing as much as they can off the older trucks.
Sure, definitely.
Further discussion? Public discussion? Motion has been made that we allow the $460,000 expenditure not to exceed $460,000
Yes, sir.
to buy a new fire truck to replace one that has no brakes. Anybody, or take the vote on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposing nay? This one does pass. Okay, we have follow-up and administrative issues. Thank you, Scott. Number 17, consideration of and possible action on matters discussed in executive closed session. We'll handle that in a little while. We have not gone into executive, so we'll come back on number 17. Number 18 is consideration of approving a board nomination by council and designated council members. Zoning Board of Adjustment John Hayden, SMD 2, to a first term January 15. Anybody want to make a motion to either approve or deny John Hayden?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We do have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion, council? Any discussion from the public? Motion has been made that we approve John Hayden. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Let's move on to number 9. Well, I guess we can figure out, we can work on these when we come back after executive. So we will do 19 and 20 after we come back from executive. So let me read the legal comments for executive, and we will move into executive, and then we've got 3 or 4 items to deal with, so it's probably going to take an hour and a half or so, and then when we come back, we'll finish it up. Executive, closed session, executive session under the Division of Government Code Title 5, Open Government Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meeting, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirements that meetings be open under the following sections. First point, Section 5510712, to consult with its attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter. Section 55107.2, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property regarding recreational, agricultural, and grazing leases and airport Mathis Field property. Section 55107.4A, 1, to deliberate the evaluation and duties of the city manager. Section 551.087, to discuss and offer of financial or other incentives to Hurstfield Energy Systems, LLC, with whom the City of San Angelo is conducting economic development negotiations, and which the City of San Angelo seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in San Angelo. It is 11:12. I now take us into executive. It is 12:58. Let's reconvene our meeting. Consideration number 17 and possible action on matters discussed in executive closed session. If needed, there was nothing that we talked about in executive that we need any action on or any vote. There was no action taken, so that one is gone. We have already taken care of number 18. We're down to number 19, which is announcements and consideration of future agenda items. Do we have any future, Charlotte?
Yes, possibly. Hold on. Anybody else want to go first?
I'll go.
Thank you.
Done?
Can I get an update on when we're going to be talking about our capital outlay priorities and half-cent sales tax items and the stuff I asked about last go-around?
Yes, can you get one sometime or right now?
Sometime in the near future, can I get it?
Yes, sir, we'll work on that. We were hoping to start that half-cent sales tax discussion, since you brought it up, with a start with you in a private meeting.
Okay.
Where we can make sure that we were kind of moving things in the direction you had in mind.
Okay.
And then follow up with a presentation at council, either in regular session or possibly a work session. I know that Ms. Farmer talked about the possibility of a work session to discuss multiple financially oriented items, but.
And I think that'd be great. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, maybe.
Yes, sir. What we'd like is to get that information to you so that you've got time to think about it, so that when you have the goal-setting session with Daniel, that you're equipped to give
Set
direction.
goals. Okay.
Thank
you. Yes.
And I would like to talk about the pros and cons of possibly adding a line item to our Blue Book report. I think it's important for us to see the previous year, where we are today compared to the previous year in each of those line items, and I don't think it would be too much to plug in the previous year or even previous 2 years in those reports. It
Could be a
significant program. If we could have the information, Morgan, where somebody could bring it back, as if it's a programming, just the pros and cons of how useful it is and how hard it would be and what it would cost to change it. Maybe not this year.
We will discuss.
Okay.
You bet.
They got you? Rodney? Marty?
I have not.
Not at this time.
Well, I usually depend on Winky
Motion
at
to
this.
adjourn.
I'll take your motion. I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is now
102.
adjourned. 102.